I am either over-caffeinated or under-caffeinated to come up with a proper opening, but we're talking about Agatha All Along. This is I Have No Title and I Must Podcast, the show where we discuss any and all aspects of pop culture. We're your hosts, Tyler.
And Chris.
And before we get started, I want to say I'm pleasantly surprised by this show. I didn't have a lot of hopes for it going in.
I'm not going to say that I have to eat crow exactly. I still maintain that Marvel learns the wrong lessons from their successes and failures. So, yes, Loki was great, but did it have any business being great? Some of this was arguably better than some of the stuff in Loki.
Yeah.
Did it have any business doing that? No. Is this going to be it seems strange if you had told everybody when Iron Man came out in 2008, oh yeah, I can't wait till we get to the part when we get a miniseries of Agatha Harkness. Agatha who the what now?
Yeah.
The woman who babysat Franklin Richards in the comic books, the million-year-old woman? That's the character you're looking forward to? Bro, they're gonna do stuff. You just don't even know about it yet. So, having said all that, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, Catherine Hahn, I think, did a fantastic job of both making you hate this character and feel sorry for the character at the same time.
Yeah, there was a lot of, I thought, at what point are they going to lean into redeeming her? And they kind of just don't.
Yeah.
There's the protagonist is the antagonist.
Yeah, it's more like, it is what it is, guys.
Yeah. Which is, don't change the character.
Yeah.
They didn't have her do a heel turn. It's she is what she is, and she remains so.
Yeah. Seemed like some of the
no spoilers just yet.
Seemed like some of the other Disney things where it's what if Cruella is actually the good guy?
Yeah.
Or Maleficent's actually the good guy? It's
what if somebody no.
It's what if they're actually just the bad guy?
Yeah. What if that happens?
Yeah.
And what if everybody in it's kind of bad?
And I'll also say, if I ever say no to more Aubrey Plaza, have my head checked out.
You'll never say no to more Aubrey Plaza.
That's what I'm saying. If I say no, my head needs checked out. Send me away.
It's, another, great surprise. And apparently some of the, I don't get into too many spoilers, but the makeup they used at the end, I thought that was all CGI.
No, just CGI enhanced.
I saw that, behind the scenes, I was like, they really did that.
Yeah.
No spoilers. You gotta watch it. If you haven't watched this and you're I'm tuning into you guys to get an idea, should you watch? Yes, you absolutely should. So, early on cons, we should talk about what the show actually is. Yeah. For anybody who didn't know, but for some reason is watching and wants to know, before we get into spoilers. Agatha Harkness was the villain of WandaVision. She was manipulating Wanda, or kind of steered it a bit. Wanda created what she created, and then Agatha was kind of stuck in it, and then in the illusion that Wanda was working her way through, and then just kind of helped her.
Yeah, she manipulated what was already going on.
And she killed the dog, apparently. So, that's horrible. Yeah. So, going into this, at the end of that, Wanda put her in her own sort of mental prison. Yeah. And so that's where we picked up with, was her still kind of in something. That first episode was not like a true crime thing.
Like a crime procedural.
Yeah, like an NCIS or something. She was a detective. But she's the only one who is living this out with other people. Other people were just she's gotten really weird in the past few days. And so it was really hard to say where that was going. Because I thought, is this going to be like WandaVision in that every episode is going to be a different genre of television like that was, but more modern, and it wasn't. And one of Nando's, once we get into it, she meets what they call the teen, because through magic his name cannot be revealed. A lot of people guessed who it was, and they were pretty much right, given that she had to gather up a coven of witches and then go on this journey. There were a lot of Wizard of Oz references. Yeah. Early on, it was almost in the first act of the first episode. And there kept being some throughout. To the point where we actually visually got a yellow brick road at some point, and then also somebody who looks like the Wicked Witch of the West. So that's pretty cool. But one of the early criticisms was once they get on the magical witch's road, Nando V Movies pointed this out. It was is this going to be Agatha versus escape rooms for the whole thing? And there's a couple. Yeah, that's what it's kind of like. But they made them visually interesting and plot-drivenly entertaining. I'm not going to say that I wasn't like, is this going to be the whole rest of the 8 episodes? It's not. In fact, there's one episode that takes a hard turn, like 2 episodes that take a hard turn from each other and the rest of it, but they don't feel disjointed. It's information that they were saving for you to find out in line with what you had previously been given to flesh out certain characters. And they did a great job. They didn't shy away from anything. Nothing. I think this is a good example of, and some people can argue with it to some degree or whatever, but it's like 2 of the characters are gay. Nothing felt pushed.
It didn't feel forced. It just felt like, oh, another add-on to the character.
Yeah. One of the characters that's gay is just gay in the comics, and they just remain true to that. So it wasn't, if anybody's like, they had to make this guy gay, like, he's been gay for 10 years plus or however long. God, when did he get introduced? Technically in the 70s, but he wasn't an autonomous being until they brought him back. Sometimes I really, I'll have to look that up now. So.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think this kind of goes with what we've been saying. It's not comic book fatigue. It's bad writing fatigue.
Yeah.
Because this show, to me, minus a few little story beats here and there, could almost have been a standalone thing. And you wouldn't be mistaken for thinking that this was its own thing and not a comic book thing.
It really could.
Yeah.
It stood up pretty well on its own. And even then, like, kind of being disjointed. It's not disjointed from the rest of the MCU. It's going to lead into Young Avengers and whatever. I don't know what all they're going to be doing, which we've gotten a few previews in the last week for some stuff. I actually erroneously thought that What If was going to just be taken over by Marvel Zombies in its final season, and that What If was just going to be a bunch of zombie stories. And I don't know where I got that idea from. I think somebody who posted about it, like, made a mistake in how they presented it. It was like Marvel What If Zombies, and I thought that it was like a subtitle for the 3rd season, which is the final season. But it's now that I've seen a trailer for What If season 3, it's not just zombies. At least I didn't see any zombies, so apparently those are going to be 2 separate things that I didn't realize. I have really loved What If. I don't love each individual episode, but I love the concept of it, and some of them are really good. Some of them, they've just taken the time to make it a comedy, and that's fine, especially that Christmas episode. This is dumb, but that's fun. Sometimes you need dumb fun. That's not what Agatha was. It was serious, and not at all what I was expecting. So every episode, I liked it more and more.
Yeah.
I thought it had not a weak first 2 episodes. It was enough to, like, intrigue me. It wasn't like, I didn't get the impression this is going to be like the greatest thing ever, but I wasn't like off board. Then when it got to, I can't remember if it was episode 5 with Patti LuPone's character, where all the stuff, it's like her episode. Whichever episode is the Patti LuPone episode. If you don't know who Patti LuPone is, you need to get on the internet and go out to a Broadway show.
I mean, some of the concepts run together for me because, again, I didn't know how I felt about the show. So I think it had almost concluded by the time I started watching. I think all but like the last episode or 2 was out.
Yeah. Did you have any spoilers before then?
No.
Okay.
Like, other than like maybe like a brief conversation I overheard you and someone else having. That's all I knew about it. And even that, it wasn't a lot. But that was enough for me to be like, okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But other than that, no spoilers. But yeah, like I said, it's like, where are they going with this? What even is this? We're getting a character that people only probably know about because of WandaVision. And even then, wasn't a big reveal character until almost the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, now she's got her own show. But yeah, like I said, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, up until the last couple of episodes, maybe 2 or 3 episodes, it's like she was in about as much as some of the other characters that had been in it. A little, and it was like for comedy relief.
Yeah, just like the kooky next door neighbor.
Yeah, so it could have been any of the people
Yeah.
that were in there. That could have been somebody that were, having some nefarious purposes. So watch it for sure. I think we should get into spoilers. Do you want to get into spoilers on this?
Yeah,
It's mild spoilers.
I mean, at this point, if they've made it this far into it and they've not really watched it, I mean,
yeah, like go just pause. Hold your phone the whole time. Just keep the video open. Hit like, share it, and subscribe to us. Go watch the 9 episodes. Cry for different reasons, and then come back and hit play again.
Because this isn't a long watch. And I think 9 episodes, and I think the entire runtime you could break it up into 3 movies. So basically,
for the low price of a Lord of the Rings, and not even probably as long as that.
Well, if you watch the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, not even 1 movie.
Yeah. So Billy, everybody knew Billy was gonna friggin' be, well,
you had one of 2 options.
Yeah, he could have been Nicholas Scratch. Now, my theory was that he was going to somehow be both. Like he was going to be merged somehow. And I think some other people had thought this online too, that it was going to be some weird corruption of the two. That wasn't the case at all. And that man, when they got into that, like Agatha's, that's not even her origin story. Because however the old she is, like it's just like a cross section of her life from when she had her child. And there were so many other things. But of course, this has to be the portion we look at because of,
so that's probably the one thing that confused me a little, and probably because I just missed a key part at some point and didn't go back. But was it like she did like a Wanda thing and created the baby with magic?
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, because there's that line about like, I created you from scratch. I'm paraphrasing, and Allison missed that too because that's where his name came from. That's not where his name came from in the I almost said the Bible. Why would I have said that? Because of Nicholas Scratch. Scratch being an old nickname for the devil. Yeah. I think in the comics, which are some people's Bible, he just is like she had him with somebody, and so like this was anytime they deviate from the comics, I feel like if they don't justify it, if it's not, like there has to be a certain element that's like acceptable, good, what have you. This was really good.
Yeah.
I felt so much more connectivity. Like when you see like this, the character is still bad. She's still pretty evil even, but you can see like she's not 100% like malevolent.
Yeah, malevolent.
Okay. So yeah, and then of course they have that element. So this is something, she does have a child in the book, and his name is Nicholas Scratch. In the book, he grows up and becomes a villain on his own. In this, he's taken at a very young age, and then you would think she could just do it again, but she doesn't. And I think she always knew that what Billy was, really. But there was also part of her that felt connected to him and wanted to protect him because of that, because of the loss of her son. Then there's the Patti LuPone episode where all of the stuff she'd been just blurting out or saying out of order, like they tie all that together.
Yeah.
And which was that was amazing. That was like maybe there's the Billy episode where it shows his life before and after, his 2 lives, and Patti LuPone's episode where she, like saves the day and does all the stuff with the tarot cards. That was pretty intense too. And showing like her life full circle.
Yeah.
Man, that was gripping. And then Agatha's episode from, I don't know what year it was set in, but then like showing her at the end, like through the years and what she would do, and that the road was never real, and that it was always a ruse to lure witches into a coven so that she could kill and take their power. The only thing that ever made it real was Billy himself, which she was shocked to see, and knew that at least from that point, it had to be him because he had these reality warping abilities like Wanda does. I just loved it. I was totally not expecting the end when, biggest spoiler of all, if all this just kind of has enticed you and it's not too much to turn you away and you want to go watch it, really, really, this is your last warning because this is the final spoiler of the show. Agatha dies and does not come back, but does come back as a ghost.
Yeah.
In her final digi-evolution.
So I wonder how they're going to bring that back into play later, because you know it's going to.
I think she's got to get resurrected somehow, unless they just leave her as a ghost and she's just a ghost character.
Which could be cool, something different.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I think in the books, Doctor Strange is like a basset hound ghost dog that lives with them at the house. This could totally work.
I think with anything, though, it depends on the writer.
Yeah, of course, and they nailed it with this. The writing, acting, and direction was just dead on. Now, sometimes, if you really want to do a hard critique, some of the road, some of the houses or the places they were in, it felt isolating, especially the last one, which is kind of like some weird padded room or something. I know it wasn't meant to be a padded room. That's just the imagery that it evokes. I think it was meant to look kind of futuristic, maybe like the Cube or something, and go a little sci-fi. But if anybody wanted to make a harsh criticism, they could say those felt like really enclosed. It felt like they were shot on a small stage, probably because they were.
Yeah, but the characters themselves.
Yeah, and even then, they're meant to be bottle episodes.
Yeah.
Like paying homage to classic television, which when you would have a bottle episode and you'd be stuck in a thing and you'd have to get out. It is there sometimes a literal escape room. I think I can't think of what it was. I think there's literally been episodes where people were stuck on an elevator. And it's usually not just some scenario where they're in it. It's like there's a reason why we can't leave. Be it we have to get this project done, or it's a party, and you can't go. There's any number of reasons. With this one, pretty wild reason.
Yeah. I generally like those episodes too, because it forces the people to step back and try and get creative. It's like, what happens when we don't have all this space to move in?
Yeah. Now that's for the people who are like the nittiest of nitpickers or pickiest of, never mind. I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I could see like if it were all 9 episodes and there were 9 rooms, that would have gotten old. That is absolutely not what they did. They knew they had a range at which they had to deviate from that and then get back to it later. It worked, and it worked in a major way. I mean, some of this I think worked better than the way Loki didn't. And not to say that Loki didn't work. Yeah. I really loved both of those series. But like this felt like there was a real mystery to unravel, even though we all felt like we knew who it was and we were right. But it's like, what does being right mean? Because I didn't know. I knew some about Wiccan, but I was always like, so his soul was just in this other person's body. How does he rediscover who he was? Yeah. And it's like in this, it is like heartbreaking and terrifying all at the same time. He's got to die first for that soul to re-enter his body, and then he just is in some other kid's body.
And it's like, how do you go from technically never have existing to taking over someone else's life that was never yours?
Yeah, and even though he's incredibly mature for his age, which we saw in WandaVision, and you can imagine, somebody with unfathomable abilities doesn't completely understand that, would hopefully be that. However old he was, jumping into a 15-year-old's body. I
think they said 16.
16. So that, I don't know. I don't think they really addressed that at all. Whatever.
No.
That's fine. All this is fine.
Yeah, I think that's more to keep it a secret.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like, after it was revealed, it would have been like, yeah, and it's been super weird but they don't have to. That's not something you really have to say. I was really hoping, my biggest 2 disappointments are really no Mephisto, no Wanda. At the beginning, when there's the first episode and there's the dead body and it's meant to be Wanda, but we know that none of that really even happened at all. It was just in her mind. I was like, what if that really is Olsen and we're really going to get like Wanda at the end of this? They're going to bring her back, even if it's just for like the last bit, like they did Kang at the end of that Loki season. So it's possible. And in Mephisto too, they mentioned him finally, and it was so heavily rumored they were going to have him in WandaVision. And I was like, Mephisto in WandaVision? This seems kind of weird leap But then by the end, I could see how that would have been possible with Agatha's connection and them wanting to lean into Wanda's magic stuff, even though I know that she trods both lines, like magic in the comics, Peter Rasputin's sister, magic, it's like Ileana.
Both mutant and magic.
Wielders. Yeah, so that's weird for me. My OCD does not like that.
Yeah.
It'd be like if Cyclops were also a sorcerer supreme or something. Like
it's just, it feels like one of those cop-out kind of answers. It's like, which is it? It's both.
Yeah.
It's like, how's it both? Because it is.
The fans wanted it, so we gave them what they wanted. So, yeah. No Mephisto, no Wanda.
Oh, we finally got Death. We didn't get it with Thanos, but...
Yes. And, I'm not going to say what I almost said. I think they need to bring Thanos back just to play out that original storyline from the comics where he courts Death. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah. Do we think we've seen the end of Death as a character?
We better not have.
Yeah.
I'd love to see. It's awesome that, Aubrey Plaza was in Legion and now in this. I hope they bring Dan Stevens back to play some version of Legion. Maybe even just the version that he was.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. I just love that show. Well, I love and hate it. I have my issues with it. We should do that. We talked a little bit about that here and there.
Yeah.
We should actually do that episode in like our dead months.
I have one season I need to finish.
Really?
Yeah. I was like watching it hard, and then I don't remember why I stopped, and I just never picked it back up.
I think it became harder to find.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. What's it on now? Is it on...
It was on Hulu last time I seen it.
I think it still is on there. I don't know if Disney also has it because they have shared custody for some stuff.
Yeah.
That is also Fox. So, yeah. How do you feel about... I was not looking forward to Young Avengers. I can say that. I was like, nobody wants this. It's going to be bad. And then I have loved the new Hawkeye, Bishop, and I love Ms. Marvel, Iman Vellani, I believe. And I was like, this could be going somewhere. If the writing is good, and I think they just use their old formula, lean into that these characters are actually funny. Don't let them get too out of hand.
Right. It's like you kind of have both, like the original Teen Titans cartoon. Mm-hmm. Show that they have responsibility that they need to take, but also show that, hey, they're still teenagers and they're immature.
Yeah, which can be really good. I think both of those characters were really good in their roles. And then somebody like Wiccan, who's like super serious all the time, that'll be the counterbalance. I don't know who else will fill out the role. I assume we'll have a suitable Speed. What's his name? Tommy. And I'm not sure who else. I'd love to see an Iron Lad. Yeah. Though, from the future, I don't know.
Might get a Hulkling.
I assume Hulkling too, because that him and Wiccan come as a pair. Having said that, I didn't give a about that until now. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, when I saw Wiccan come in with probably the most accurate comic book suit that they've really done, because it wasn't overproduced. It was just right and looks like he stepped off the page and with a little bit of detail added. I know some people will be like, but what about this or this? For this one, a lot of those other suits that even are just accurate, they're still like, there's too much detail work in it. Yeah. And it looks like everybody has the same costume, which is a common complaint, especially in the MCU, that everybody has the same tailor. You go to it and a little bit of rubber, a little bit of plastic, a little bit of textured spandex.
That's what we need. We need a episode of Marvel where it shows like the Edna Mo's of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. So, not my favorite version. I love a big long cape. Yeah. But I also love when they do something different. I don't love a half cape, but I did like Wiccan's original look where it was like this kind of somewhere between like a scarf and a poncho, and it was kind of tattered, which I thought they might do, but they went for his full-on like superhero look where he's got a full cape and a real head-to-toe outfit, and it looks spot on. I mean, I know there's like some extra details in there that it's, but it's not overdone.
Yeah, to be fair though, it seems like one of those things, it's always a fine line of how do you bring it in from the comic book without it looking cartoony or flat.
Yeah. Which is what we've had all through the, like when Spider-Man, I think, was the first one that looked like it was based on the comic book, but was like, it had texture, it had a feel. It looked like a master seamstress could have made this. Definitely not Peter Parker, but whatever. Especially with like the budget he was working with in some small bedroom in New York, like whatever. Anyway, he made it. The one they did, what they focused on for Andrew Garfield's version was a little bit more realistic. That it was like he orders this thing and it's like a luge suit and it's mostly there, like when he gets it. So costuming, it's the set dressing for everything else. It's what the guy's going to be wearing when he does the most important thing. It can't look too hokey, but it's got to look cool. A lot of people, the culture has changed. A lot of people don't like the classic look of a lot of these characters. But then there's also this temperance of nostalgia where it's like, let them just be them. This is what comic book characters look like. A lot of people have lost the knowledge of why. I know I didn't grow up with it. I had to watch documentaries to find out. Like, it's based on strongmen. That's why they have the trunks on the outside, because it's like, imagine professional wrestlers. A lot of professional wrestlers in like the 70s, 80s, 90s still had that look as well.
They all come from the same origins of carnies.
Yeah. So anyway, I love that they're bringing the trunks back for Superman. I mentioned that in their Superman episode. Go listen to the Superman episode if you haven't listened to the Superman episode. Actually, you know what? Just go back to episode 1.
Listen
4 or 5 and click play.
At least go back to the start of this year.
When we started to not be as bad. I watch the show and consider keeping your ears open for, I think Marvel might be back. And they're going to have some stumbles. That's the thing. You think, well, they had such a good long run. They had Thor 2 mixed in there in that first couple years. Remember that. There were bad movies all along the way. The good ones were so good that it drowned those out. Then it started shifting. A lot of the legacy characters either died or they weren't in as many projects. So we were trying to focus on newer ones, and some of those in a row weren't as good or didn't live up to like end game expectations. This was really good. This was a really good show. I don't know how it could have been shorter. I try to think of like what it, how to make it more palatable for people to be able to more easily watch it. I think the 9 episodes is a good long...
I mean, you're in single digits.
Yeah, it's still...
what else you want?
It's still doable. I was happy with it, and I could have gone one more even to get Mephisto and Wanda, but beggars can't be choosers, and I don't work for Marvel.
Unless you want to hire us.
Yeah, so... But if you're looking for ideas, guys... Don't just pick the weird character out of something and do that with your... Like, you got lucky with this one. Just make Moon Knight 2 and get it right. Why is it rumored that we're not getting a Moon Knight 2, but we're getting Wonder Man? Like, who is...
A little late for that, too, if you've read the comics.
For Wonder Man?
Yeah, because that's where Vision's personality originally came from.
Yeah, it was like a combination of Hank Pym and... Yeah, they're doing, and then the way that Ultron was created was a little weird as well. So, like, more so based on Tony Stark as opposed to Hank Pym creating him. Kind of sucks that they did away with Hank Pym. Like, you guys know he's a fictional character, right?
Yeah.
Like, fictional characters can't get canceled the same way real people can, apparently. And you can also just say, like, they've tried to defend that over the years by saying he had a mental problem. I think the best thing to do would be to say it was a miscommunication between the artist and the writer, and the artist just went ham.
And you've already changed so much about the MCU. Why not leave that part out? Yeah,
leave it out and redeem the character.
Yeah.
Make the character be the opposite of that. Or if it happens, make it be a total accident. Redeem, like, have anybody ever swung your arm around and accidentally hit somebody on accident? That's the sort of thing that can happen in real life, that you just grab the person and you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were there. And they're like, it's okay, it didn't hurt me too. My eye is a little swollen though. I might need to get this checked out. Oh my God, it's bleeding! Anyway, anything else?
Yeah, I was going somewhere and just...
Sorry, I have that effect on people.
One other thing that I think this could lead into.
Okay.
That, talking about the Young Avengers, And it's one of those that they could do this and it could be great, or they could attempt it and it just be the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
But one of the big things that came from the Marvel Civil War in the comics was the Avengers Initiative. And it was kind of almost like a movie one and done thing with Civil War here. There's like not a lot of repercussions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas
the storyline went on for a long time.
Like, it was a big deal. Because this was almost just like, hey, Iron Man and Captain America are having a disagreement and people are picking sides.
And they have one big fight.
Yeah.
Which was really cool, but that was kind of it.
And Civil War in the comic books, though, it's like, it was orchestrated and a lot of people died.
Yeah.
And that's why people were starting to change their perspective on superheroes.
Heroes, they had to band together and go underground if they were on the opposing side. It was intense.
Yeah.
And people switched sides. Like, Peter Parker went public. That was when that happened. And he was initially on Tony Stark's side and then had a change of heart and switched over to Cap's side. So there was a lot that went on with this story, and it was pretty huge and had lasting repercussions. Yeah.
But who knows where they're going to go from here. They're having to re-scrap and rework a lot of things. Who knows the actual reason why? I heard that they're already talking about reworking the Kang thing even before the controversies,
because it just wasn't like hitting like they'd wanted it to. Yeah. I mean,
and that's
I'm
what
a fan of Ant-Man. If you haven't been able to tell like how much I bring Ant-Man up, I like Hank Pym and I like the concept of Ant-Man, this guy that is just a scientist. That's what I love about the MCU. Like, DC had these larger than life, like godlike characters, these titans that were meant to be, I think, more so modern versions of like Greek mythology,
and in some cases were.
And the same with Marvel. But then a lot of Marvel's, I think this is just Stan Lee's reverence toward intellectualism and science, is he makes a lot of his superheroes just science guys that have this ability, and they don't even want to be doing it. It's not with great power there must also come great responsibility. It's oh, well, this is a bit of a nuisance, isn't it? I'll have to take care of this and then get back to my real work of being a science person.
I think that's one of the biggest differences between DC and Marvel is DC focuses on the alter ego, the superhero. Whereas Marvel, the personality of the actual person is there as well. And that's what you're getting. It's like the superhero is almost secondary.
So, yeah, I don't know exactly where this is going to go, where these two characters are going to go from here, or if this is the story that they're going to pick up in Young Avengers. That could be. That'd be pretty weird, but that
like
could
the first season be the formation, bonding the different people.
Yeah. And I mean, or if they did it as a movie, I think this would probably, especially if it's an origin story, it would probably work better as a show, even if it were a shorter one. And yeah, that could also be the reintroduction of Wanda, like they've done in the past. If they bridge this gap after any version of Doctor Doom is introduced, and we get Wanda back and she's married to Doctor Doom. I haven't heard anybody say this or talk about this, but I'm sure somebody has, because it's from the comics, Children's Crusade, which was an awesome story. And yeah, I think this could also be, whatever version of Magneto we get, if he doesn't have to be their biological grandfather. He doesn't have to be the version of Wanda's dad. If he comes in and is like from another universe, if the universes get merged with characters from different universes and says, I've lost all of my family and you are the closest thing I have to that. And they're like, well, we don't have anything against you. That could go a long way to redeeming that character too, because that's the problem that the X-Men movies had, is every movie starts out with Magneto trying to clean his slate.
Yeah.
And the longer it went, it felt more unbelievable. And I love that character. I'm like, just redeem him properly and let him join the X-Men and be on that, have those arguments with the professor in-house, like what they did expertly well with the cartoon.
Yeah.
The most X-Men 97. They, not perfect. I would have done it a little differently, but again, they don't submit their drafts to me. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see where this goes.
I just hope that the lesson that they learn is not just go with the weird thing to be weird, or take away what's actually here, and that is good writing. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you write it well and portray it well, it will work. I think one last thing that maybe we talk about, because before the show started, this is like the main topic of discussion, and that was the first introduction of nudity into Marvel products.
Oh, yeah.
After all the hype and stuff from that, when it finally got there, I'm like, this was nothing, guys. Why was this even an issue of concern for anybody?
I hadn't heard about it. I somehow missed that was going to be in there. So when that did happen in the show, it was genuinely shocking to me. And yeah, I think making a big deal about it after the fact is kind of funny, and it's just like raising hype for it and like, you know, joking around with Catherine Hahn. But yeah, didn't NYPD Blue in the 90s, like on ABC, didn't they have like have a nudity, a similar nude scene with like the old guy? Anyway, they parodied that on Family Guy at some point. I remember when it was a big deal, but
it's like, it's like you get like a flash of her butt, and that's the closest to actual nudity you get.
Yeah.
And I know Catherine Hahn said she pushed for this, and it fit the character, but for what it did in the show and the hype about it, I thought it was kind of like, that was it.
You wanted more.
I mean,
we can petition Catherine Hahn. In fact, I don't know much about her career. What we want may already be out there. More so you.
It's like, not to sound like a creep, but I mean.
Okay, yeah. No, we'll take a look afterward.
Research, though.
Okay, yeah.
Only for research purposes.
We'll let our viewers know where this ended up.
In the gutter.
Okay, well, anything else? I'm glad we ended on this.
Yeah. Other than like weird tangential things that has nothing to do with partially nothing to do with what we've been talking about. Nah, I got nothing.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a fun little aside from what we've been doing. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. For some reason you've made it this far, you've not watched the show. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe, follow us on our social media. If you made it with us this far, thank you. Until next time, see ya.